the sizzle of meat on the grill. It's a warm and welcoming sound of summer. But this is no backyard get-together, no sir. This is the world of competitive barbecue. It's an unrelenting quest for the perfect pork shoulder, seasoned chicken, whole hog, and the best slow-cooked beef on the planet. A quest that will take us from the American South to the far reaches of Europe and Africa. To meet folks from all walks of life who share one thing in common, a fire in the soul. Lynchburg, Tennessee. Population 361. This is a dry county and liquor can't be sold here. And yet, it's the home of the Jack Daniel's Distillery, where they've been making world-famous whiskey for more than a century. It's also home to the most prestigious barbecue competition in the world, the Jack Daniel's Invitational. And while the competitive circuit ends here in Lynchburg, it begins 9 months earlier in a place 800 miles away, Houston, Texas.
The Houston show is so early in the year. We look at that as the beginning of the barbecue season. It's a wonderful contest, well over 300 and maybe 50 teams. Their sites are absolutely beautiful. They decorate like almost no other contest. It's a lot of fun, a lot of hats, a lot of boots, a lot of Texans.
What in the world are all you people doing out here? Is there any Texas barbecue lovers in the house tonight?
One of those Texans is Randy Pauley, head honcho of the Holy Cow Cookers. Randy is pulling out all the stops to regain the title of rib champion that he won 7 years ago when he was only 20.
I started off in barbecue actually through my dad. My dad had a barbecue golf team and they threw the biggest party. They never won a thing. They drank probably the most you could ever imagine and had the prettiest girls.
Things haven't always been easy for Randy, but the spirit of barbecuing and a family friend named Rusty helped Randy through a tragic time.
Just before senior year, their dad died in an auto accident. It totally destroyed Randy, and Rusty really stepped in. And Rusty's a really good guy, 3 kids of his own, but yet he found the time to pull another child in.
This is Rusty Coe. He is the true reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I'm telling you, he is the backbone to my operation in the beginning years.
And Rusty was the one I give a lot of credit. I owe him a lot.
I call him my son, and I'm real proud to have him there.
Let's get him up.
Randy and the Holy Cow Cookers, along with the other competitors, start preparing what they hope will be prize-winning recipes in 3 categories: brisket, chicken, and ribs.
I would definitely classify barbecue as a culinary event because you're judged on smell, texture, not all, you know, everybody thinks it's just taste. It's not a one-man show. It's the team effort.
Holy cow! Holy cow!
And everybody does their own thing that makes it just oh so good.
Randy's rib entry starts with his special rub, a mixture of honey, brown sugar, and seasonings that include black pepper, garlic, and onion powder, all massaged into the ribs. This meat will cook for 5 to 6 hours at 225 degrees, low and slow barbecue style, with the entire team taking turns keeping an eye on the process.
So this is a recipe for the prize-winning ribs, right?
No, I don't know.
No?
I'll let you know in 24 hours.
On the other side of the grounds, last year's Houston Grand Champions, the Katy Cookers, are back with a new twist in cooking chicken.
It's a lot of things to go into it. You've got a whole chicken. You take that chicken, it's got to be a whole chicken. You take a beer can, preferably Lone Star, Pearl beer, anything like that. You got to drink half the beer. That's the trick. The cooks, you got to season the cook before you get the chicken done.
Marinate the chef, right?
That's it. cover the whole chicken so it looks done. And then you take the can. The chickens don't mind. They really don't care.
Don't bother them a bit.
Take them, put them on there as such, and set them on the pit.
It's hard with that knife. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I can't.
And now, the moment of truth. Randy and the other competitors put the finishing touches on their entry samples, carefully choosing the finest cuts of meat and garnishing them in what are known as blind boxes, entries submitted for judging without any identification. Now, it's time for the judges to get to work.
They're looking for four things. They're looking for the sight, how does it look, how does it taste, how does it smell, and how does it, what's the texture? Is it, soft, tough, tender? And each category has a score, sliding scale, 1 to 5 or 1 to 15 or 1 to 20. And it's a totally subjective system. It's totally up to the taste of each individual judge.
With over 350 teams competing in 3 different categories, it takes a couple of hours for results to be tabulated. All Randy and the other competitors can do is hold their breath and hope for the best. The best being bragging rights and an automatic entry into the Jack Daniels Invitational.
If we don't win a trophy, we'll still be partying our butt off. And it's one of those things, we're just out here to have a good time.
And now, what everybody wants to know, Grand Champion, Hero Governor, Michelle Wade.
This year's Houston Grand Champion is nothing fancy. A mom and pop team from the Texas Hill Country. The Holy Cow Cookers take second for the most colorful booth. But with 7 ribbons in as many years, the team is still pleased with their performance.
Which is now our 7th year to make some sort of a placement. That's still a history record. I mean, that just doesn't happen. And it's like, it doesn't matter. The trophy's right here. This is my trophy. And with him goes a lot of little trophies that make the whole big trophy.
With this year's barbecue season officially underway, it's time for the Holy Cow Cookers and the other teams to kick back and have some fun. But there's a few already thinking about the next stop on the competition circuit. Memphis, Tennessee, and an event known as the Super Bowl of Swine.
The thermometers are there.
Don McLemore and Chris Lilly have a problem. They're looking for the perfect pork shoulder to take to the Super Bowl of Swine, otherwise known as the Memphis and May World Championships.
We are a touch disappointed in the overall look of the shoulders we got here. We need more boxes.
You got a few that look pretty good, but you got some that look terrible. That one on the end looks pretty good. That's about the best one I see. But you're right, more boxes.
Let's get to work.
Don and Chris have been here before. Last year, they not only took first place in pork shoulder, they were grand champions of the entire competition. Don owns a restaurant in Decatur, Alabama. The name of the restaurant and their team is Big Bob Gibson. Fortunately, the shoulders they've been searching for arrived with the morning delivery.
So we're looking for the perfect piece of meat to compete in Memphis. What I'm looking for here is a shoulder with a nice full butt that has some fat striations in it, but not a particularly lot. But if you'll take a look at this shoulder, notice how loose the meat is. That's going to cook up to be a nice, pretty, tender shoulder.
Memphis, Tennessee, home of the Memphis and May Festival, an annual cultural event known the world over for its barbecue competition. And competition is the key word here, with as many as 80 teams battling it out in each category.
The Memphis and May Festival was started 25 years ago. Barbecue was there at the beginning, but now barbecue is bigger than it's ever been before.
Memphis and May is 1, I want to win bad, but 2, I want to party hard. It is the Mardi Gras and probably the biggest party in competitive barbecue. About 80,000 pounds of pork is going to get cooked this weekend, and they do pork extremely well. It's an art form here.
Art form or not, The key to great barbecuing is to use low indirect heat over a long period of time. Aromatic wood such as apple or oak is often used to add a unique flavor to the smoke that in turn flavors the food. It's the first official day of Memphis in May, but it's not a great start for the returning Grand Champs. It seems they forgot to prepare for an event.
Some member of our team didn't read their manual like they should have, and that was me. That was me. There's a new contest this year called People's Choice. We found out at 12 o'clock yesterday, we had a turn-in time of 5:30, and we had to cook a pork butt. You can't cook a pork butt in 4.5 hours. But Bill and I, another member of our team, we rushed to the grocery store. We bought 5 or 6 butts, came back, cut those in small pieces, injected our injection that we use for our shoulders, and put our rub on them and threw them on the pit, and bumped our temperature up, I don't want to tell you how high, just higher than normal, trying to get those done to have a turn in.
And this is totally experimental, but very, very challenging and fun.
We got them done because we're not going to turn anything in that's not done. They were done. They were not very tasty.
The team decides to concentrate on their specialty, pork shoulder. They first inject the meat with a solution of apple juice, sugar, and salt to moisten and flavor the meat. Then they apply a rub made of brown and white sugar, paprika, garlic, salt, Worcestershire sauce, cayenne, and other spices. They cook the meat at a low 225 degrees.
I think right here we've got 3 19.5-pound shoulders. We're putting these on at 2 o'clock today. 20 hours on a 19.5-pound shoulder, I think that is ideal.
Another competition category at Memphis is whole hog. And at the Super Clean Smoker site, the team is preparing not 1, but 2 whole hogs for barbecuing.
What we do, and there are several teams that do this, is we cut the rib back from the backbone to expose the tenderloin so we can get our rub in there and then get smoke penetration into the tenderloin. We try to maintain about 200, 210 degrees for the first 6 to 8 hours. Let's say it's time, temperature, and technique. That's the 3 secrets to a good barbecue.
Judging at Memphis in May is a mix of blind box and on-site presentation.
This is our product today. Notice how nice and full that shoulder is all the way across. And that's what we're looking at when we're picking out a fresh shoulder to cook on competition. You know, my goal is, when we do these presentations, is to make their eyes light up before they eat. Okay, that particular piece of meat goes in and goes around and wraps around the center bone, so we can get an idea of how well it's done from the center all the way to the outside. Notice how easy that bark separates. Notice the juice is starting to come out of it. So let's check it out. If you can get their mouth watering and have them sitting there almost begging you to put the food on your plate, that anticipation means so much.
It's with that same anticipation that the Big Bob Gibson team waits to hear the judge's decision in the category for Best Pork Shoulder.
Big Bob Gibson barbecue wins first place in shoulder.
And then the final award of the night, the Memphis in May Grand Champion. Myron Mixon and his team Jack's Old South from Vienna, Georgia, take Grand Champion. A little disappointing for Chris Lilly and the Big Bob crew, but they take it on the chin. After all, Myron is a multiple champion and a force to be reckoned with on the barbecue circuit. Next, We travel halfway around the globe to experience world-class barbecue with an international flavor. Cradled on the shores of beautiful Lake Thun, south of Bern, is the resort town of Spiez, Switzerland. Now it's home to the 6th annual European Barbecue Championship. Teams from across the continent are here to compete in a setting that's a colorful blend of cook-off and carnival. Along with the European competitors, there's an American contingent too, here to take part in the mutual sharing of barbecue know-how.
It's extremely exciting. The way they cook barbecue is a bit different. Some cook their barbecue the way we do, but there are a lot of different types of unusual cookers and just unusual methods that we aren't used to here in the United States. The seasonings are different, but they're very good. I think they don't season their meat as highly. The cuts look different, so being in a competition there is definitely different from anything in the United States.
While Americans may claim barbecue as their own, in Spiez, they're in for a few surprises. Like this Dutch team dressed as Aztec warriors, preparing slabs of beef seasoned with a mixture of herbs and spices. Or the Germans dolled up like cavemen doing a prehistoric chicken molded and cooked in terracotta clay.
So, inzwischen liegen bereits 10 von diesen Fladen in den Grills.
Are you dining with us today, good sir? Have a look at the Irish, how we dine. We dine well. We are a country of noble people. We are the Irish.
To Ireland. This is to Ireland. Oh, yeah.
The Irish also bring a special flavor to the European Championship.
This is just a mixture of some oils and some herbs and some garlic and a little bit of a little liquor from Ireland which is called mead. It's made from wine and honey, and we're just going to rub this into it, and we're going to baste the chicken throughout the cooking with the rest of this rub here.
What would a main course be without dessert? It's an important competition category at the Spiez event, and nobody, but nobody does dessert like the folks here.
Most of the people here are professional chefs cooking, and the table setups are unbelievable. The presentations are just something that we just don't do, in the United States that much. Absolutely gorgeous.
Welcome to Cape Town, South Africa, site of the 3rd Annual World Barbecue Championships. Although the South Africans are relatively new to competitive barbecuing, low and slow over the glow is an age-old tradition here.
Barbecuing here is thousands of years old. I don't think the rest of the world knows that we have barbecued all our lives. We call it braaiing here, as you know.
So there are lots of tradition involved in the black cultures of cooking meat over the coals. And we've added to that and taken from it and borrowed from it and given back. And barbecuing specifically, we're mixing all the elements of Malay, Indian, Dutch, French, German, and black.
So tell me, what is this dish?
It's mupani worms.
Where do you get them?
We get them from the eastern or northern Transvaal mainly. They're also in Namibia, and this is the special dish for us. We know that nobody here will be having this.
Veggies that you can see there, we've got the green peppers, the yellow peppers, red peppers.
we've got some nice garlic, obviously, which is very important for food always. And then we have mushrooms sliced into smaller pieces. And we've got some cheese. And then the lemon as well. Sorry, that should be there. And then we marinated the meat beforehand with a secret weapon actually that we got. And then we've got this garlic butter as well also, which we just paste over this as well. So we pre-cook this all, and we put a dash of Tabasco as well. And we pre-cook it, and then we're gonna baste this all over this, and then we put both these slices on top of each other, and then we start cooking it.
With entries like these, it's plain to see that the judges have a tough job ahead of them, if you can call this a job.
Really good. And each gentleman, the judge is morning.
Morning, yes.
Very good.
Thank you.
Nice.
In the end, it's a team from Switzerland, the Rainbow Smokers, that walk away with the title of Grand Champion.
I think we truly have shown the world the most incredible spirit.
We'll find that same spirit in this man, the hired gun of barbecue, as he cooks off against Grand Champion Myron Mixon and Jack's Old South. Washington, D.C. As any politician will tell you, there's enough heat here on Pennsylvania Avenue to work up a sweat no matter what time of year it is. No, this isn't a biker convention. It's the National Capital Barbecue Battle held every year here in Washington, D.C. These barbecue bikers can take a Harley apart and put it back together, but they're strictly novices when it comes to barbecue competition. That's why they've come to this man for help, Stu Carpenter, the lone road warrior of barbecue. Stu's on the road 50 weeks out of the year, pulling his rig from event to event and cooking for anyone who needs him.
I'm going to be doing about 20 contests, so figure 5 days a week I'm on the road. I work hard, you know, we work 20-hour shifts, 24-hour shifts. I'm pretty good with a cooker. Do great ribs and great pulled pork. Brisket we're getting there on. Do fantastic chicken. And I'm very friendly to people, that's what I bring.
If there's anyone Stu Carpenter has to beat today, it's this man, Myron Mixon. Fresh from his Grand Championship win at Memphis in May, Myron and Jack's Old South are gunning for top prize here at the battle. As a finalist in both pork shoulder and whole hog, Myron's so close he can taste it, and he wants the judges to taste it too.
Right here in D.C., most unique place in the world to cook. Where else can you cook on one of the most famous streets in the world? Pennsylvania Avenue. It ain't like cooking in a football field or back home at a baseball park. You're out here in history. Judges, good to see every one of y'all. I'm Myron Mixon. Welcome to Jack's Old South. I'll be your grill master and presenter. I'd like to invite all of y'all inside. You'll step right in and go straight to your right to a hog cooker here. When they walk out of here, they may not remember what I look like, or they may not remember our name, but they will know what indirect water cooking's about.
Indirect water cooking is a technique in barbecue that uses water, or in Myron's case, apple juice, to moisten and flavor the meat. The juice is poured into a pan in the cooker, and the heat naturally evaporates the liquid, which mixes with the smoke to flavor the meat as it cooks. While Myron explains his technique to the judges, restaurant owner Jack McDavid hopes to pick up a few championship tips of his own.
So I came down today to learn from some of the best in the country. One is Myron Mixon. He runs a company called Old Jack's. They are a great barbecue company, and he's one of the top-ranked barbecuers in the world.
Back at the dinosaur pit, hired gun Stu helps the bikers with their entries, hoping to upset the grand champ.
And they brought me along just to give them some advice on how to do turn-ins and how to get the judging presentation down, and just how to set up the team things and what they need on the contest. They're doing the majority of the cooking.
But in the end, Stu and the bikers are no match for a seasoned team like Jack's Old South, who add yet another notch to their barbecue belt.
Jack's Old South.
For Stu Carpenter, there's no time for disappointment. This is Pennsylvania, Amish country, and home to a brand new event on the circuit, the PA State Barbecue Championships in New Holland.
Well, I'm here with the Barbecue Bandits out of Ammon, New York. It's a new group that got together this last year to compete, vend, do some catering. They're three pretty nice guys. They all pooled their money and started with one cooker, and now they're up to 3.
The hard part is figuring out what
Jack
the
McDavid's here too, hoping that what he learned in Washington will pay off in Pennsylvania.
I'm seeing more and more in competition, people are rubbing their butts. And I've always rubbed my butts. That does a couple things for me. I use a rub, it's a mixture of spices. Rubs can be of anything you want. This is a mixture I made. It has some paprika in it, it has some pepper in it, some salt. It's got a little bit of dry mustard in it. It's got some different flavors in it. And then on the outside of this, I'm gonna put just a touch of, we call this French mustard, and I'm gonna coat it with it. And this will actually melt. You say, oh gosh, mustard on this. This will melt into the meat. The meat will absorb it.
Pork, beef, and chicken aren't the only things being prepared on the grill, as competitors share a few tricks of the trade.
I have, of course, some olive oil, and I use some fresh cracked black pepper, and I have a seafood seasoning that I have mixed up here in my shaker. I like cooking the whole fish. I believe the meat tastes better. Okay, well, we're going to put some wet wood chips on here real quick. We're using some pecan and grapevine, wild grapevine. It gives it a sweet and actually a hint of a smoky flavor also. And we'll put him on there for a little while.
With time running out, Stu Carpenter works with the Barbecue Bandits to put the final touches on their entries.
It's an art to make good food. And when you're doing a painting or you're just having a jam session with a bunch of musicians together, you try something. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, you go on and do another way. Very few things you can't fix.
Grand champion for this year, 2001, a trophy and a check for $1,000. Barbecue Bandits team.
It's a competition. You're competing against, 15, 20, 100, 200 other teams at each event. And that's where the sport of the competition, you're doing your best you can do, trying to beat them, trying to make it into the trophy, the prizes. But you're also becoming friends with them and helping each other out.
Calgary, Alberta, home of the Calgary Stampede. We travel there next, but we won't be chasing livestock. We'll be cooking it at the 9th Annual Barbecue on the Bow. Meaty and Baird. During the week, he's a criminal defense attorney in Calgary, Alberta. But this weekend, he'll be facing a different kind of judge. A whole tent full of them, in fact. The event is the 9th Annual Barbecue on the Bow, held in downtown Calgary on the beautiful Bow River. The festival is a chance for Canadian barbecuers to challenge the Americans at their own game on home ground.
It used to be that the American teams would win this competition, and in fact, if there were 3 American teams, they would come first, second, and third. But now our Canadian teams are just getting better and better every year.
One hometown favorite is the Canadian team, pork, sweat, and beers.
I mean, barbecue is much more prevalent down there than it is here, and so, you know, we've had them come up here and they've done extremely well against us. But I think we're closing the gap and we're looking for them.
The Canadian teams will be up against a strong American contingent, including those who have tasted victory before.
I'm Judy Anderson, and competition team is Mad Mama and the Kid. We won Arizona and one of the California cook-offs, so we've had a pretty good year.
How do you expect to do today?
Very well. I expect a place. That's all I know. There's a lot of stiff competition here. I'm just new on the block. This is only my 3rd year competing, so.
With national pride on the line and 5 different dishes to prepare, the teams from both sides of the border get ready for the long night ahead.
The brisket and the butt take around 10 to 12 hours each at a minimum, so in order to have them ready for tomorrow for the competition, you pretty well have to start them tonight, and if you're not careful, it'll dry out.
The early dawn finds the team struggling to stay awake, but still nursing their fires and their entries.
And how did the night go?
It was a little rough. 4 hours sleep off and on, 2-hour increments.
It's like watching paint dry, I guess, but we're having to check the smokers all the time, make sure the temperature was as constant as we could get it. The difficulty was pretty cool last night, so we had a few spikes in temperature and that, which you want to try and avoid. But everything's on track so far. Looking good, I hope. I'm actually feeling pretty good about this. Sean did a good job of laying them out, and I think they'll impress the judges.
Don't go away for a second.
At any barbecue competition, that's the bottom line. Impressing the judges enough to win.
They've been up all night cooking to qualify for this title of Alberta champion. And they're going to win $1,000. And the reserve grand champion for the barbecue on the bow. Pork, sweat, and beers.
For the Canadian boys, it means second place. One of Canada's better showings.
First place from Seattle, Washington, home of the range. And this fella's keeping it in the family because his brother won here last year.
Home on the range brings home the championship for the Americans. A nice wedding gift for Paul Glavanitz and his fiancée.
My wedding's on October 12th. Kansas City's the week before. Jack Daniel's 2 weeks after, right after the honeymoon.
Mad Mama from Olympia, Washington takes first in the rib category and 6th in chicken. Unfortunately, this time Calgary lawyer Ian Baird has failed to convince the judges.
There is no joy in Mudville. It was a shutout. Pretty disappointed actually in the chicken and the brisket particularly that didn't at least place somewhere. We did the best we could. The team did as good as we could do. So, family, you know.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. And in Kansas City, we'll find out who's fanning the flames. Kansas City, Missouri. The local fire department is off on another emergency. Behind the wheel is firefighter Eddie Morin, known to his friends and colleagues as Fast Eddie.
Fast Eddie came from my years of auto racing. Nobody in my family liked racing, but everybody likes to eat, so barbecuing was a natural for being a family function.
Now, when Eddie's not fighting fires, he's starting them.
The guys at the firehouse helped me develop my recipes. Every once in a while, and I take a cooking unit in, and if I'm working on a new recipe, or if I feel like I'm getting weak in a category or something, or trying to find that one more seasoning that makes it that little bit better, those are the guys that get to taste it first.
It somehow seems appropriate that a firefighter should also be a first-rate barbecuer, and it's even more appropriate that Eddie lives in Kansas City, home to the granddaddy of barbecue competitions, the American Royal.
The American Royal is just, you'll find out it's the Kansas City's largest party.
So you have immigrants here from every part of the barbecue nation, the South, the Southwest, even some of the Northerners brought some barbecue experience, and we have them all here.
The Kansas City Barbecue Society is a blind box judging only, and you have 6 judges that are going to judge that box, and that's it. You put it in a box, you send it away, and that's all you can go on.
Hometown favorite, Fast Eddie, is one of the few competitors who works alone, and he likes it that way. The custom cooker that he designed and built himself allows him to do just that. Eddie uses the Traeger pellet system in his cooker, which automatically feeds cherry wood pellets into the firebox at a controlled rate, leaving Eddie free to do other chores or take a nap during the 12 to 24-hour cooking process.
When I go out and cook by myself, I get in my own little world and kind of get into a zone, and it's getting away from reality. It's something completely different than what I do in any of my other lives that I have, and it actually unwinds the stress.
With the Royal in full swing, teams get down to doing what they do best. Whether you call it a pit, a smoker, or a grill, the cookers you'll find here are as unique as the folks who use them.
This is a 1958 Cessna Skylake. They got ground loop in a thunderstorm. We all like to cook. We started off in the backyard cooking against each other before we knew there was barbecue contests, and we went to one. And we was looking around at all the cookers, Weber's, and this, that, and the other, and thought, we can do this.
So you guys are skydivers, you say?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would think that compared to the excitement of that, cooking some meat for low and slow, how do you compare it? Where's the thrill?
There's the thrill.
Once Eddie and the other competitors have handed in their entries, their fate is in the hands of the judges. Unfortunately, Eddie Morin isn't one of the finalists, but that doesn't mean he doesn't go home a winner. A team known as Big Red is this year's grand champion, and they do it using a cooker designed and built by, you guessed it, Fast Eddie Morin.
To watch somebody win on one of my cookers, it feels just as good as if I was up there.
For Eddie, the Kansas City Royal is the last event of the season. Now it's back to work, fighting fires and planning for next year's competition.
Everything I do revolves around fire, and to me that is truly fire in the soul.
So after traveling the globe for a season on the barbecue circuit, we find our champions gathering in that quiet little town of Lynchburg, Tennessee. Remember Lynchburg, that sleepy little town in Tennessee? The one with the population of 361? Well, that population is about to multiply more than 100 times.
All right, judges, welcome to Lynchburg, Tennessee for the 13th annual Jack Daniels World Championship Invitational. Can you think of anywhere else you'd rather be today?
The Jack Daniels Invitational is the ultimate challenge in the barbecue world. Only the circuit grand champions, the best of the best, are invited. Mad Mum and the Kid, Myron Mixon, Chris Lilly and Don McElmore, Stu Carpenter, and many more square off against each other in what is known as the Super Bowl of barbecue.
I mean, I love the American Royal, don't get me wrong, and I love all the other cook-offs, but to be able to get to Jack Daniels and be invited to come here, this is the ultimate.
It's what you work for all year long.
All year long. To cook against the best cooks in the world.
It's an honor.
It's an honor to be here.
This will be my first year competing with my own team at the Jack Daniels, and I really can't describe how good it feels to take a team that I'm leading that never competed before as a group to go down to the Jack Daniels and hopefully do well and prove that Yankees do know how to barbecue.
This one looks good.
Jack's Old South was one of those teams when we first got on the circuit that we said if we could only beat them.
That's exactly right.
And they're a good team, good bunch of people.
Everybody wants to improve, whether it's in his backyard, whether it's on the Kansas City or the MAM circuit. And I think that's the underlying factor why it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
While the teams enjoy a friendly rivalry throughout the year, at the Jack, the stress and the intensity of the competition reach new levels.
And it is stressful because you've got to find the right lettuce and the right parsley and the right piece of meat to be able to put in there. And sometimes things just don't look right and you start all over again. And hopefully to get the right thing into the judges.
While the competition draws teams from all across the continent, hometown favorites Cliff and Donnie Weddington are practically barbecuing in their own backyard. It's that fire that's kept Donnie Weddington in the kitchen the past few weeks, perfecting his entry in the sauce competition. All sauces at the Jack must include one important ingredient, and the fact that Lynchburg is a dry county is no excuse for leaving it out.
I might have a little drop of Jack Daniels. Oh, I do. Some of that evaporated. I don't know where that went, but see what we can do here.
Well, one of our categories is sauce, and we printed in all the rules we send out. You can enter any recipe you want to, but if it doesn't have Jack Daniels as an ingredient, you ain't gonna win.
And so it comes to this. After 9 months, a ton of ribs, 1,000 miles, not to mention 700 gallons of barbecue sauce, the season ends as it began, on the yay or nay of the judges. Who will take it all? Hometown favorite or the veteran out-of-towner?
So here we go.
Good luck.
Okay, grand champion this year, $2,500 and a Weber grill goes to Twin Oaks.
Twin Oak from Oklahoma clinches the Jack Daniels Grand Championship with an upset victory. All that's left to do now is congratulate the winner, dry a few tears, and join the party. Myron Mixon and Jack Soul South have had an amazing season and go on to be named Barbecue Team of the Year. The only thorn in Myron's side is Chris Lilly and Don McElmore of Big Bob Gibson, who beat Jack Soul South on home turf, capturing grand champion at the Alabama State competition. Mad Mama and the Kid take home 2 ribbons from the Jack and head back to the Pacific Northwest to plan for next year's season. Randy Pauly and his mum Bella Ray just had to be there at the finish and serve as apprentice judges at Lynchburg, later winning 5th overall in Houston as a new season begins. And hired gun Stu Carpenter drives home from Lynchburg to catch a little shutout. 24 hours later, he's back on the road again, looking for the next competition.
It's not all about the competition, it's all about what do you do at home? It's all about the love of food. It's all about the soul of wanting to cook.
Fire in the soul to me is an addiction, and there's no cure.